Before we begin, you're wondering who this person is sitting in front of you talking to these two artists. So I just want to introduce myself really quickly first, and then we'll dive into the conversation. My name is Ty Chico. My pronouns are he, him. I am a black, queer, disabled immigrant to this country. So my entire life has been put in boxes, and I've had to navigate those things, which have led to the creation or contributed to the creation of my company, Everybody Has a Song. And what Everybody Has a Song does is that we provide voice lessons, visual podcasting, and creative placemaking for individuals to be able to tell their stories and share whatever their songs are, and provide them with the tools to rediscover or discover their voices. In this moment, we're using the placemaking aspect of the company. And so that's a little bit about me. Portland Playhouse and my company have partnered to bring you this little party, this little talk back, so that you know about these two artists and know more about their stories off the stage. So as we continue, before I introduce them, I want you to have one thing in mind. And that word that I want you to have in mind is permission. And after seeing this show for the first time today, that word kind of really hits home to me even more. I was 18 years old when I left my country for art. So to see youth on the stage kind of struggle, navigate that life really hits home to me, and I'm looking forward to having that conversation with these artists. So first, I want to talk about the dance artist, the movement researcher, the teacher, the somatic practitioner. She has performed nationally and internationally in Bulgaria, Zimbabwe, Chile, the United Kingdom, and of course here in the United States. Muffie and I first met when we were co-directing Hair at Portland Center Stage, and your bassist was also a part of that production. So this is a wonderfully small but powerful community of artists. And so please welcome Muffie Delgado Connelly.
Yay!
Next up, actor, director, producer, and teacher, and I love this line, advocate for proper representation of marginalized communities in the performing arts. Doesn't that just sound beautiful to say and important? Oh my gosh. This person knows that art is so much more than just entertainment. And that's what this show kind of displayed today as well. He and his partner are beloved in this community, and I'm very honored to share the space with both of these artists. Please welcome Charles Grand. We are in a unique space in time right now where we can forget the small talk and really dive into some really deep conversation after experiencing what we just did. So the first question to both of you I want to ask is, how do you decide which projects you want to take on? Why have you said yes to this production? Whoever wants to start.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, this project, this play, this experience, Passing Strange, I've known about for a few years. I'm gonna try to do the deep and brief version of my story. So I grew up in Southern California, Long Beach area. And I was a show choir kid, I was a student government kid, I played volleyball because I was tall but I was not good at it, but I was on the team anyway and it was very lovely. And when I graduated, art for me was the thing. Like, I found art in high school, and so I went to school at University of California, Santa Barbara, studied theater and Black studies. And for me that was such a moment of like, they didn't teach that in high school. They did not tell this side of the story. And so, you know, when it came to that moment, that was the first time that I learned about like who August Wilson was, and I was like, okay, well, where does my art and my personhood meet? And so the gift of being in university for those 4 years was so much of research and curiosity and reading all the plays I could, and I remember finding out about Passing Strange at that moment. So Passing Strange first premiered in 2008, and then it was on Broadway in 2009, and then it, you know, it's had a whole journey. But so this piece has always been in my heart, and Brian and Ramona, who are the artistic director and associate artistic director, have known. I brought Passing Strange to them like maybe 4 or maybe even 5 years ago, and it's been on our season planning list for years now, which basically means like when we're deciding what plays to do, we read a bunch of plays, and then based on what the moment is or what we feel like wants to have a voice or wants to take up space, then we choose. So we finally chose this play, and it was like, oh, I guess I'll act in it. That's too long to read version of this. I'm not gonna tell you the whole story, but this piece is really important to me. So it's kind of a two-sided thing to your question of like, I've always loved this piece. Never seen it live. There's the Spike Lee version, which I recommend now that you've seen this. You should check that version out as well. And so then I'm grateful to like be here in this role, and this process for me has been so joyful and so difficult. I've never played a role like this. It was a test of stamina, patience, so much. Like I feel like I was stretched to every corner of this room and every corner of my body, trying to manifest this character in this world, and it's just been such a gift. So it was an easy choice, and then being in the room, it was easy and hard because the character of Youth and I, there are ways that we're different, but I discovered there's way more ways that we're alike than not.
I want to get to that point at some point.
So I'm gonna just put a little pin and I'll hold there.
Yes. And Charles, I want to say publicly, and I think we all agree, did a magnificent job.
Yeah.
Thank you. Muffie, same question.
Yeah, well, you know, I've been to a lot of different places in my career. In Chicago and in New York, traveling internationally, performing as a dance artist primarily. And so in my time at Portland, there's been a shift. I've become a parent. I have become immersed in nature. I'm living on the West Coast, and the energy here has really given me an opportunity to kind of take myself out of before the kind of performance that was really about being hyper clean and hyper traditional and hyper kind of old school in its way of being. And now I feel really excited about the purpose of what I'm doing and the larger idea of what dance can be and do in the world through performance, through practice, for spiritual reasons, for health reasons, for therapeutic reasons, for all different kinds of reasons. And so now when I'm trying to choose what projects are most interesting, I'm really looking for people to collaborate with who are also interested in thinking about art making as a bigger thing than performance. And so for this project, it was really Charles that inspired me to take on this project. It was Charles who I wanted to work with. We had kind of connected before this and always had eyes like, I see you, like, let's do something. So when Charles came to me for this project and said, hey, like, would you be interested in this? I read the script and I was so excited to be able to work with Charles and so inspired already to be able to work with Charles. And I just knew it was going to be a special project. And I could also tell that the team that Charles was going to curate was going to also be, and it was, a team with Rodney Hicks and Kennedy Barrett. People who were really challenging me in my form to really think outside of the traditional ways of being and to be tethered to larger things. It was such a beautiful experience in that way, and it's just so filled with gratitude.
Thank you both. I think back to being a young artist and having to almost say more yeses than nos to any opportunities that we can get. But as we grow and we have life experiences and we understand what our values are, we can then decide to say, you know what, this is aligned with my mission in life.
Right.
And then if it does, then I will take it on.
Right.
And so the storytelling of this piece in that way becomes very personal, right? And any piece that we take on now as older adults, it's something to think about. This next question is one that I've asked our friend Isaac Lamb, for any of you who know Isaac. I asked the question, who do you perform for? And I didn't ask him why he performed. And when I think about that answer for myself, I think about all the young children who have disabilities. I think about all the young queer kids. I think about all the immigrants. And whenever I decide to hit the stage, I make sure I try to take them with me. That way I know that I'm always bringing authenticity to the space. So my question to both of you is, who do you perform for?
I know I didn't think answers. You want to go over to
Said no small talk. I'm not on my watch.
Right.
Do you have something in mind?
Yeah,
Go
for
ahead.
sure. My first and primary, I've learned this through the years. I've learned that my primary audience is my mom. My first person that I perform for is my mother. And I've learned that through a lot of the work that I've made actually positions her on the stage between me and the audience so that the audience can really view her viewing me and me doing what I do. And so I've kind of learned through my processes that really my mother's the first, my first and most important audience. And beyond that, really truly being tethered in my body. I think because being tethered through movement, through dance work, our body is our temple, is our tool, is our transmission. And my body came from hers, and my children also. And so I'm most interested in our bodies as sites of transmission and how we're connected and connected to community at large through our bodies. So I think of my Mexican ancestors, I think of my Native ancestors, I think of my descendants in the future, and I try to use my dance as a way to transmit and transmute to those people.
Yeah, I'm gonna tag on that because I love the word community, and honestly, it was not until I came to Portland where I really figured out what that word meant. I think for so long it was kind of like a buzzword of community, we're doing this for our community. But I think kind of just to also answer your other question about who we do this for, but also how we choose. And I was definitely an artist who just said yes to everything because I was I want to get experience and I want to meet people and I want to collaborate. But then I realized oh no, it started to really funnel into something very specific, pieces that really speak to me, pieces that challenge me and scare me. And so again, going back to when I was learning and researching in school and then coming here, and for me, who I perform for really is that community of people who look like me. Because I think I actually wasn't a theater kid when I was an actual kid. My art was through film or through song or dance, and theater was kind of the last piece, and I was oh, there's other ways, this stage, this literal stage, this literal platform, and this idea of oh, we can actually be in the room together. As a theater maker, it's not a film where I've made it and then you go watch it later, but no, I'm making it in real time, the response of the people, their reactions, or whatever, the energy, I'm responding and we're making something together. We're collaborating together. And so I think that I perform for the community of people who look like me, but I also, on this project, have learned that I really need to also do it for myself. And I think in some ways I kind of had previously oh, that's selfish, performing for yourself. I think that can have a negative connotation. But I think what I've learned on this project is that oh no, I am able. I am worthy of taking up space. I am worthy of using my voice. And I think for so much of my life, I have been a people pleaser. And so now at this phase in my life as an artist, I'm trying to really say, oh no, I can do this for me. I can be selfish, and I can also be selfless. Those two things don't have to be in opposition. And so that community of people who look like me includes me. And so I think this piece has taught me, oh, I'm also at the table. I'm also a part of this. It's not you versus me. It's oh, I'm a part of this. And so I feel a responsibility, truly, of doing so many shows a week, and when I'm exhausted and my knee hurts and my back hurts, and I'm I don't know if I can do another show, and I hear that music, and I remember who I'm doing this for and the journey I get to go on, and if one person vibes with what we're putting out, I'm that's worth it to me. And Mr. Franklin says, I'm just the vessel, and I think about that a lot, really, as an artist of oh, I get I love that word you use, transmute. I get to perform for us all and take up that space.
That's beautiful. Is there someone keeping track of our time? Because I can keep going and going and going and going. So someone please put a timer on for, let's say, 10 minutes.
All right, it's me.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to go off of what you said. And I want to once again talk about permission. You both talk about your experiences and how you've given yourself permission to be the authentic artist that you are. I'll give you a quick anecdote and then I'll ask the question that I have in my mind. I've been taking voice lessons for about 20 years, and whenever I got into the practice room, I would be sitting. And all of my practice routines, all of my warm-ups, all of my lip trills, everything went perfectly. No issues. When I got on stage, almost every time through my master's, through my undergrad, something would stop clicking. I realize, and I'll get to the point, I promise, that when I'm sitting, there's something secure in my body because of my prosthetic. So let's keep that in your mind. I get to my doctoral program and I'm sitting in my voice lesson, and my voice teacher says to me, "Ty, I want you to give yourself permission." And I really don't remember anything else he said. But I thought about the moments when I would be in the practice room and when it worked. And from that moment on, that word permission has changed how I approach the art I make, has changed how what I accept to do as an artist. That word permission has given me the authority to just be the person that I want to be, that is the vessel for the art. So this permission has to happen through life's experiences. However, there's always going to be the question of self-doubt. When do you experience it? How do you deal with it? Sorry, no funny questions or anything, they're all serious.
That's great.
And have you given yourself permission to kind of navigate those? Do you have your strategies?
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you want to go or you want to go?
Every day.
You want to go? You want to go?
Yeah, it's a daily thing, and I think that's what I've realized about not just being an artist, but being a person. It's like, it's a choice every day. And it doesn't mean the choice is easy every day, but I think for sure I battled with a lot of imposter syndrome. And especially playing a role like this, like I really had to make a conscious effort to leave the critic outside of this space, so that I could just be free and have the permission and see what was possible. And I really am so grateful to our director, Rodney Hicks, who spoke and speaks so much life into me. Like even this week, just sending me messages of encouragement to close out this week strong, and so like this idea of self-doubt and then positive self-talk. Because even in rehearsal, it's like you mess up a line or you mess up, and sometimes you're like, oh. And he was so much of just like, take a breath, be easy with yourself, be gentle with yourself. And it's so easy for me to be gentle with others, but I always leave myself out of that equation. And so again, this process was such of like, oh no, I need to include myself in that gentleness and know that mistakes are not bad, mistakes are growth. And to embrace the mistakes, and even still in the show, when I do a show, if I flub a line or like play a wrong guitar chord, like to not get hard on myself, but just to be like, I'm creating, I'm expressing, and I'm trying to just be in this moment. And so I think I really attribute a lot to just this season of my life, to, not that it is gone forever, I will still have to face it, but I think I have a different perspective now, and I've been journaling a lot in this process every day before the show, so that no matter what has happened before, I can just let that go and like bring myself to this and to youth, and to really let youth's story and journey take the reins. My story is a part of it too, I'm in there too, but I don't want to get in the way of this story or what is possible. And so I think when it comes to self-doubt, when I remember, again, it comes back to your question of like who I'm doing this for, then it's not about me. it's about me because I'm here, but it's not about me, it's about everyone here who like has come to listen and see where we're gonna go.
Thank you.
I think that for me, I've always just been used to being different. And I think in the way that I grew up, being in the dance field, I definitely did not look like everybody else in the room. A big part of that is my history, my history body. You don't see people like me in dance studios. And the largeness of my body, the weight of my body, and the ancestry in myself. And so I've always been kind of dancing in a different relationship, I think, than to a lot of the people who I've been in the room with. And I spent probably the first 30 years of my life really trying to conform myself into other people's dance forms. And so now, you'll see, after 30 years of doing that and causing a lot of harm to my body, and a lot of harm to my psychology, my psyche, I decided, what if I didn't spend those 30 years doing somebody else's dance? What if I spent those 30 years learning more and diving deeper into mine? And I wished that on myself, and I wished that on everyone around me. And so now I get into these art making practices, and it feels, I think, a little bit radical for some of the performers that I'm working with to not give them, like, it's this, and then it's that, and then it's this, and you're doing it right or wrong. But it's really a part of my commitment and dedication to believing that each and every one of us has something to offer that is something that I could never have put on you or told you was the right thing to do. And so it can be frustrating because it's a new way of the authentic movement and improvisation and asking people to bring themselves as dance artists,
hard, right?
which is sometimes hard, and I can be here for that. But it's an investment in slaying that imposter syndrome, and realizing that I'm 43, I'm a mother of 2, I've bore 2 children, and I'm still dancing, and I'm still performing, and I've actually never met anybody else like that.
How much time?
4.
Thank you. I've given Charles a shout out, and I told Muffie I would call her, give her a shout out too. Probably for me, and I can only speak for myself, one of the most underrated movement practitioners that I've ever met. Not only because of the movement that Muffie does, but because of the spirit she brings to the piece. And if anybody in here knows Muffie, I'm sure that you agree. So let's give Muffie, please.
Yes.
In our last 4 minutes, I'm going to try to do 2 things. The first one is asking these wonderful artists, what is your song? So everybody has a song means that everybody has a song that they can sing. So I'm asking them, what is your song?
You. Who's doing it? Me? You?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so funny how everything just feels aligned. Like these questions in this moment, this idea of what your song is, and even as someone who really enjoys singing, again, imposter syndrome, and just being in a room of people who I feel like sing way better than I do, but then coming into, but it's real, it's the imposter syndrome. And so, but I just am so grateful to you for making the space, because it's true, it's singing is it's not about the notes. My character says that, it's not about the right notes. It's about pure energy and relentless self-expression. I'm one of those theater kids, sorry. I go to play all the time. But I've been thinking a lot just about, for both youth and myself, and youth story and me in this process and me in this life as an artist, the persistence and the drive and the way that we just have to get up every morning, even when it's hard, and just try. It's about the trying and it's about the effort. So this song is called Can't Give Up Now. I just can't give up now, 'cause come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy, and I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me.
All right, brother.
That's the song.
Take me to church. Go ahead, Muffie.
Yeah, just like sometimes I just really do, like I want to take a bath in the universe that is you know, for us, you know, it's just so beautiful, just so beautiful. Like, thank you for sharing and thank you for being vulnerable. Oh, so beautiful. Gosh, you know, I don't sing for a living. That's not my thing. I dance, but there is some beautiful serendipity. Life is so weird, and the way that it works, and the magic. And I know for people who have been around for any amount of time, you've experienced this. And one of the very serendipitous things of this process has been the fact that my mother passed away the week before we started the show. And so in my mother's passing, I've really been in the material of the story of this show and a mother's passing. And I'm an artist and had that relationship with her. So this show in many ways has really kind of stewarded me through one of the most tender portals of my life. And so when you asked me to come and be here with everybody, I thought there's one song that I always sing to my mother. And my mother's name, and good luck for me to get through it because I'm a crier as it is. But it'll still be my song, even if it is shaky and all of that. Her name was Virginia, and I used to sing this song to her all the time. So I'll sing a little bit of it. So it goes. But I love this. I love being in here with the energy of this charged space and this story to sing to her. So it goes. Come on down, sweet Virginia. Come on, honey child, beg of you. Come on down, you got it in you. Got to scrape that shit right off your shoe.
You're a singer.
Well, she is a singer. It takes a lot to be vulnerable. So first of all, thank you both for that. And the word permission, once again, means so much, and we've just realized it, right? And I love breaking down the fourth wall, which we are doing now, and talking about not only do we have that opportunity to give ourselves permission, but all of you do. I don't care if you're 7, 17, 70. If there's something that you want to do, the first thing that has to happen is how you think about it. Right?
Absolutely.
So if you change your mind, you can change your life. Thank you all for coming. Please give a round of applause for Muffie. That's a wrap.